So my name is Thierry Baujard, and I'm going to tell you about co-production today and let you know a little bit how co-production works and maybe how you can be involved in European co-production. So just to introduce first our company, so we are based in Germany and we call ourselves the game ecosystem catalyst. I mean, basically, we are developing different programs to help the European ecosystem to, let's say, to structure, to mature, and to develop. So we have three main programs today. One, we have an acceleration program that we've been doing now for many years with different partners in Germany, but also now in Europe. We have a co-production market in Europe that I will focus on today in this presentation. And this year, in 22, we've started as well to create a mentoring and a co-production program between Africa and Europe, where we've been selecting 10 studios from Africa to help them to understand how they can work with Europe and developing co-production with studio. Apart from this program, we are developing a funding guide that we will be developing even more in the next 3 years, because now we have created a platform that is called Indie Plaza that you will see, I will guess, in the next 6 months coming, where we will really look into all the different funding sources, public and private, in Europe. We have also, and if you look at our website, we've also developed a think tank about financing and funding in the gaming sector, and you can have a lot of information and interviews, panels with bankers, with venture capital companies to understand a little bit how they can be involved in the game sector. And generally, we are trying to build this different cross-border ecosystem. So to come back to co-production, I don't know if it's a word that you are used to know or to listen. Maybe you've heard it in animation or in film. So the idea is to look at that and see how we can maybe use it in the game sector, which is something that we've already developed. So basically, if I explain what it is quickly, is that you are, let's say, coming from Poland, you are developing your project, so from country A, and you own the majority of the IP, or today 100% of your IP, and you are accessing maybe some funding to do it. And the whole idea of the co-production is to develop collaboration, so meaning working with another studio, possibly from another country, to join forces. So it's not about work for hire, it's not about subcontracting, it's to develop together the projects, sharing everything, sharing the development, sharing the production, sharing the revenues, etc. So of course you need to find the right people to do it, but the idea is to develop a project together. And the idea of that is to develop maybe some better quality games with a bigger budget, and you know, having more experience to make it better fit into the market. I mean, I think, as you know, in the indie scene, there are many games that are produced, and not all of them are successful, I would say. So the idea is maybe to go for less games, but bigger game and with more experience and work together. So that's basically how it is. One studio is the majority co-producer and owns, I guess, most of the IP, most of the revenue, and then there is a minority studio that is working with them and develop that together and bring this expertise and also potentially funding from the other country. So it's quite simple in a way. The idea is really based on collaboration, but it's really to do that on a European basis and really trying to systemize a little bit that. So I'm going to give you a few examples of projects, because we have started to do that, especially between France and Germany, because as you can hear, I'm French, and we've been doing that between the two countries for a while. So the project that we have today in development are obviously a lot between France and Germany. So if you take one of the first examples we did was a majority co-production, a majority project coming from France, with accessing different funding and expertise in France. So you see in the middle there's been the public money from France, there's been a publisher from France, the tax credit in France, and then on the other side, in Berlin, in Germany, we brought the money from Berlin to finalize the project. What we brought from Berlin was very small, was about 15% of the project, but at the same time, it really helped the project to develop, to be more known in Germany. And for your information, the game now has been released for more than 2 years. In fact, we have sold more games in Germany than in France. So it's one example of how co-production could be useful, of course, in bringing talent and money together, but at the same time as well in distribution. Other cases that we have presented 2 weeks ago, in fact, in Strasbourg, where we had our last meeting for this year. The first example is a project that has been done again between France and Germany and was created last year in 2021. So the majority studio is from France and the minority studio is from Germany in that case. And you see what is very important is to understand who is going to do what, which is obviously for studio and game studio always sometimes could be quite difficult to understand, okay, what are we good at, what can we do, and what do we want to work, we want to other people to let them work on the other part. So in that case, you see a little bit the split between the two companies. And there you see as well how the funding, how it's been brought together. So again, you see that a majority of the funding came from France in that case, because again, the majority was coming from France. And then in the case of Germany, the money came from, at federal level, from Germany with 26% of the budget. Another example is, again, between France and Germany. It's a different type. It's a VR escape game that has been developed. Again, it started, I think, in 2020. So this game is already out, even though, obviously, with the pandemic, they have problems because it's been released for LBE, and as you know, most of them are closed now. So the first game has been finished through this project, but they are doing now the second one, still in the follow-up, still in the co-production mode, and obviously hoping to sell them in LBE when it's back. So again, between a company in Germany and a company in France, they found each other in our project, in our platform, and then decided to develop their project, the different VR game together. So it says a little bit about the repartition there. In that case, you see who is directing. So both directors of the companies really directed, but then there is a management team from Germany. Sound and image was done more from the French people. They did some remote meeting every week to work on the project. There were technical meetings as well. And they really looked at how to adapt the financing between the two countries and how they can work together, which is today one of the issues still in co-production, but we are working on that, is to see how we can facilitate or make things a bit easy when you are working with two countries, because obviously today they are very desynchronized, and sometimes it's a bit tough, or maybe the schedule is not right to make it work. So if you look a little bit at the way it's been financed, so you see it's a little bit under 500,000 euro, the game, and it's been mostly for 64% by some money in Germany, and then there was some own resources from the two companies, and in France everything was used. What has been produced in France has been used by the tax credit to get some money back, basically to finance the part in France. So that's basically some example. We are working on that, and as I say, we started about 4 or 5 years ago between France and Germany. Last year in 21, we got more countries, so we had 5 countries coming to the project, and at last in 2022 we started to do something much bigger, thanks to the support from Creative Europe as well that we received for this year. And this year we managed to attract 15 countries, so not Poland yet, that's why also I'm here today, unfortunately. And the idea is to get these countries and I think the possibility for the studios from all these different countries to work together to develop. So in 2022, we had more than 70 studios that have been invited to the matchmaking session. So we do an online matchmaking session. So we tend to think we're a bit like Tinder, but for game studios. So we had about 100 people who register, 70 have been invited to the matchmaking. There were about 100 meetings that we could, let's say, track, because of course we think that there've been many more meetings happening during the summer, but we started on Meet to Match for 2 days with the studio, and we had about 100 meetings so that people can know each other. And as of today, at the end of August, we had 10 co-production teams that have been confirmed, so meaning there are 20 studios from Europe that have said, okay, this is the co-production, this is how we want to work, this is the split between the studios, and now the adventure starts, I would say. Now they are starting really to make it work, to see how they can access funding, they can develop their skills together, etc. What is interesting is that from the 10 co-production, there are 10 countries involved, so it's many, many countries, but until now we didn't know. So we had, for example, the Netherlands with Denmark, Spain with France. I mean, many different, combinations basically that are very new, and obviously that makes things very exciting. But at the same time, it's a lot of new countries to understand what is available. How does it work in this country? Can you get money at regional level, at national level? How do they work in terms of, for example, IP? How do they work in terms of criteria to look at the money? And of course, co-production means even more to find a publisher. I mean, it's not just, okay, you do a co-production and then you get the funding, because obviously we're talking a lot about public money for the moment, and as you know, it's maximum 50% of the budget. So in any case, the idea is to grow the experience, grow the project, come to 50% roughly of the budget, but then together to be in a much better position to find a good publisher and to get a better deal. So now, in fact, on the 10th of November, we will do the final pitch to the 10 from the 10 co-production to publishers that were invited. So, of course, if there are some publishers here that are interested to listen to these pitches from co-producers, come to see me or just send me an email. I'll be, of course, interested to invite them. So these are the country partners that we've had this year. So there are different types, different public institutions. They are coming from very regional institutions to Ministry of Cultures, to Center of Cinema looking into games. So it's very different parts. We had, you see the country, we had Spain, Belgium, Denmark, Netherlands, Ireland, Norway, Croatia, Germany, Tunisia, but because it's part of Creative Europe, Switzerland, Czech Republic and Slovakia, Northern Ireland, Italy and France part of that. So we are obviously interested for next year to acquire more countries, because we see that it makes it much more interesting and diverse, because people are looking for projects. And we are already in discussion with Austria, Luxembourg, Finland and Sweden now about that, and also all the different public institutions who took part in the project this year have been coming to Strasbourg 2 weeks ago to meet as well and to discuss in other topics to understand as well how they can work on co-production and see if it's really something that can be helpful, I would say, at different level, but a lot about, cultural objectives, at the same time, skill objective to bring people together, to upskill a little bit the studios, and of course, accessing some funding as well. So the planning for 23, so if some of you are interested, of course, we would be happy to do that. We will do a call for a project in the beginning of 2023. I mean, obviously, for us, a key point is to find a Polish institution who could be really partner and our also communication partner for us to do the relay with the community here. But the way it works, because it's not just a market, it's really a mentoring and it's really explaining, letting you know how it works and what are the benefits of co-production. So we started by identifying the studio, we do webinars in different countries, and then we do group mentoring to make sure that roughly people understand what we're talking about. To be honest, unfortunately, it's not always clear at the end. Some people don't really understand always what it means to work in collaboration and in co-production. Around June, we will do this matchmaking session where people will talk to the other studios. So you receive a list of 70, 80 studios. We put, obviously, a lot of criteria and information about each studio. And then you can start searching and making meetings with them. And of course, you need to position yourself either you are a minority co-producer or a majority co-producer. So are you looking to do your project, or are you looking to also work for an existing project? So, and we got quite a lot of that this year. We had about 2/3 of people pitching their project and 1/3 looking for projects, because obviously it's a very good way to diversify their activities, to have on one side a majority production and a minority one at the same time. So I think we see quite a lot of studio of, let's say, middle size interested in becoming minority co-producer. And then we leave you until Gamescom to tell us basically what sort of, who have you found. And then we do what we did in Strasbourg 2 weeks ago. We invite all the confirmed co-production to come to Strasbourg, I guess the next year as well, to meet in real with your co-producer, because obviously if you're going to work the next 2 or 3 years together, I think you need to meet and to see if you can understand each other. And then you will meet experts. So we invite experts with experience in co-production and also at different levels. So for example, on the legal side, to help you to understand what sort of contracts you will do, etc. And you will be able to meet as well the public financier that we are inviting, so that you can start talking to them. So if you do a co-production with France, for example, it could be really interesting for you to meet the agency in France, to understand how they work, how they think, what are they looking for, and how you can present best your project. So that's what we do for 2 days in Strasbourg. And then, as I say, the last pitch, which will be 10th of November this year, will be the pitch to publishers of the co-production. So just very quickly now to finish, what you need to think about when you go into a co-production is the first point, and it's very important, and to be honest, it's one of the most difficult things to do, is really to understand what are your strengths, what are your internal skills, what are you good at, and what do you think you could help. So what are you looking for? And then what stage of production are you? So that's a big debate. The response is very difficult. It depends. Not too early, not too late. I mean, if you have something already a bit developed, it's good, because obviously you want to pitch that and you want people to look at something. If it's too developed, people will say, okay, but it's done. I don't need to do anything. So it's a thin line, and it's one of the key problem that we see is to find that. So what we recommend is basically to go to the matchmaking and talk to people, and after that you can decide whether you think you are too early, too late, or just at the right time. In terms of funding, that's obviously important. Understand what can you get in your country, what do you think, what do you expect from the partner. So that's why we have created this online database, so that you can, today you can quickly look at, okay, what is available in this country, so you have an idea of what you could get in that. And you know, in terms of distribution or access to publisher as well, what can this co-producer bring to the table? Thank you. And then the two main points to discuss with your co-producer is the intellectual property. So how do you share that? How do you work with that? I mean, to be honest, there's no rule. It's up to you to decide on that. I mean, there is a good point that you know, the majority co-producer will own a majority or even nearly everything from the intellectual property, but it could be discussed whether people are interested in this intellectual property or not. Also, if the criteria from the different public funds are requiring access to the IP or not. So it's a big discussion, of course, but we can help you based on experience. You have to discuss a lot, and also a lawyer can help you, obviously, to understand the plus and minus of that. And of course, the revenue share. So that's, I would say, easier in a way, because, of course, you're going to share the revenues, that's for sure, because you are bringing and you are developing a part of a project. So you can take it in different ways, based on the amount of money you are bringing, based on different countries, a mix of that. I mean, everything is really possible, and it's a discussion. To get to these discussions, to these points, you need to work quite a lot with your co-producer. You need to better understand what they want to do, what are they interested in exactly in the project. Is it to well, I don't know, to develop some experience, to really make some money, to help you a lot on the publishing side, distribution side. So it's a lot of discussion, and I guess this part will change a lot depending on with the time, and once you talk to them and talk to experts, etc., you can change that. And yeah, finally, is really the different points to understand why you should work, or you could look at co-production. I mean, it's not for everybody, that's for sure. It's one possible way to access skills, to access experience, to access funding. So you can have access points to market entrance. It's also about culture, creating diversity, cooperation, pluralism in the project. Of course, skills, strengthen your skills, upskill what you've got. On the artistic way as well. So maybe you've got some idea, but maybe the co-producer could help you. And for example, this year we had one example at least of a majority co-producer, in fact, who brought a project, and the minority co-producer is taking over most of the art part. The financial side, of course, accessing different funding, having bigger budget, spread the risk as well is very important, instead of saying, okay, I'm taking the risk for everybody. And accessing, for example, tax credit. As you know, today, there are tax credit only UK, France, Italy now, you may know, in Belgium, as from January 2023. So, if you, as a Polish studio, you want to access that, you could develop a co-production with a French partner and basically accessing the tax credit. So it's also a way to do that. There are some soft benefits, of course, to get this knowledge, to better understand. We see this year, for example, people starting thinking about reciprocal co-production. So I'm doing first your project, and then next time we'll do yours. And then, yes, in terms of circulation, I was talking about that. It can help in terms of marketing in specific country. I think that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes?
Question. Did you have any failures or conflicts in your project?
Yeah, so many. I mean, it's not easy to do co-production. I mean, people meet, they start working, so sometimes they have problem in communication. Sometimes they understand that, in fact, they are not going to be able to access funding in the country for different reasons. So it's quite tough. It's quite tough. So I don't want to be too, positive. Everything is fine. It's quite difficult, but it could work. And of course, the more project we are doing, the more tests or talking to people. Sometimes, for example, we have a case last year. It's a Spanish company. They wanted to do a project with Germany, and then it didn't work. And now they're doing it with a French company, and now it worked with France. So they met. They were in the same room last year, but they talked to the wrong studio to start with, and now this year they're doing it in France. So it's happening, and of course the communication is not easy. I mean, of course, after the pandemic, many people now are used to work online, so it helped a lot because we're talking a lot about that. But still, you're talking about developing your own project. So, can you find the right person to do that, and can you trust them, etc. So it's not easy. But I have to say, the projects now that have been done or been doing now, most of the people now say to us, even if we don't get the funding, we will continue and we will do it. For example, the second one I show on the VR game, they got a little bit of money, but not very much, not much as they wanted. But they say it's really enriched the game much more than if they were doing it alone. So definitely, I think, there is this idea of working together and to be better together than just alone. Okay. Yes?
What is the verification process for studios that come into your project, or do they have to meet certain criteria?
Yeah. So at the beginning, everybody can register, part of Creative Media, Creative Europe, and the country partners. And then we look into that, and we are looking, as I say, it's a lot about the stage. If we think it's too late, it's too advanced. So for example, if a project is very advanced and you are just looking for a publisher, that's not interesting for us. So we take that out. That's why this year we had 100 and we took 70 in the matchmaking. Otherwise, it's completely open. There's any type of game is possible, and everything is fine. And then in the mentoring program that we offer just after you have registered is really to talk to you, to present what we think is best. And of course, we can discuss and we can help you to understand whether it's a good idea to stay in the pool or not. And then at the matchmaking level in June, we don't do anything. It's what we call natural selection. You have to find each other. If we are not there. We are just giving a meet to match platform, and people meet, and at the end they tell us, okay, we found someone or not, and there's no criteria, nothing like that. Okay. I think there's one more question, or it's two.
I have some friends in Puerto Rico we need to talk to.
Sorry.
I don't think.
Is it all right for folks in Puerto Rico to try and contact you?
Who?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico? Okay, that's a tough one. I'm not sure yet, to be honest. I don't think so. Today we are really trying to do that within Europe. We have some discussion. We had some discussion with Canada, for example, to see whether we could create something. Tunisia, you see, is part of Creative Europe. We had also Serbia is also interested, for example, but Puerto Rico is very far. Not sure yet. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you.